Hello, thank you for joining me for today's Facebook Live. My name is Tracy Helt. I'm an independent Stampin' Up! Demonstrator in Melbourne in Australia. Today we're going to be making this little cake gift box to match the card that we made last week, and it's the box bit of it was inspired by Angela from Stamping Beauty in New Zealand. I just changed the dimensions and things, but it is the box that she used, and that pulls out there, so it is actually a reasonable size box. Obviously you wouldn't fill both sides because you only want to be putting stuff in half, and it won't close if it's in both. Alright, so now I'm going to add a little pull on there just because it'll make it easier. Now you can see the cake decoration is pretty much exactly the same as what we did on the card last week, so I'm not going to go through the whole decoration again. I didn't put the candles and the banner on because I just thought that would be too much trying to get them matching up, but if you want them, you can do them. I'm going to just go through some of the cake decoration first, and then we'll get on to making the box. Now I've decorated half the cake because I just wanted to show you the other half. So if that's our piece when we've cut it, where it's joined together, I suggest that you do your stamping while it's still joined together, because then you can see exactly, particularly with those lines where you want it to match there, you can see it. It's just easier to do it while it's still attached and then cut it apart. That one I stamped my bit, die cut it, no issues there. Now the issue, if we want to call it that, it's not a major issue, is with this piece, because we need that to be the mirror image so that when we're putting it on both sides of the box, it's actually going to match up correctly. Alright, so now what I've done is I've die cut my top piece. I didn't stamp it, so that one's stamped and die cut. This one I've just die cut. Oh, and clearly I've die cut that badly because it's from something that I'd stamped on the back and didn't realize. Okay, that's all right, we'll deal with it. So it's going to go on there, and you can go with your mirror stamping, stamp onto your silicone sheet, do it all like that, but I'm not going to. I'm just going to come and just step my dots over. Okay, so that looks like we got a bit happy with the icing, but that's okay. And then we're going to stick the nice clean side down onto our cake, which is now facing the opposite direction. And I've die cut my blobs of icing. So again, and I have to say that it is very difficult working from the other side. It just feels wrong. But anyway, we're going to make it work. Those quite close together on this one, and it's not, I mean, you could put the box together and then decorate it that they kind of mirror image behind each other, but I don't think that it's that important. Now with our layers of icing, again, those you could and probably should do the reverse stamping so that it's actually going the other way. I haven't. I've done it the same, so it just, I don't know, it looks like my icing's going in the opposite direction, which maybe isn't fantastic, but I think it's okay. We can deal with it like that. Just because some days you're lazy and you don't want to take the extra time. Okay, now we can get onto the box. So we have 2 pieces for the box. I'm going to start with the smaller piece, and when I say smaller I mean shorter because it is actually longer. And we're going to do some scoring first. So I'm going to score that at 6.2, 12.4, and my cake just dived off the table. 19, let's get that straight because otherwise my line's going to be crooked. 19.2 centimeters on that long side, which is going to be 2.5, 5, and 7.5 if you're working in inches. We're then going to turn it around and score at 5.5 centimeters, and the numbers go funny here because I think that it's been done in centimeters and then converted to inches, but 2 3/16 inches. Okay, and then I was going to assemble, but let's get all the scoring done. So then on our other piece, we're going to score at 6.2, 12.4, and 18.6 centimeters, which is 2 7/16, 4 7/8, and 7 5/16 of an inch. And then we're going to turn and score at 6.2 and 11.7. which is 2 7/16 and 4.5. Okay, now we can get onto the assembling. So let's start with the smaller piece first because that's our sort of box piece. So let's just fold and burnish on all those score lines. Now you can see here we've got one piece that is slightly, no, this shouldn't be, it should be exactly in half, the other one's bigger. So it doesn't matter which side we use here, top and bottom are going to be the same. And what I'm going to do is fold. I've just scored that wrong. You do realize that, don't you? Okay, let me double check that scoring because what does it look like? Those, they should be equal, so it should be 6.4 and 12.8. Yep, okay. I thought I'd said 6.2, so it should be 6.4 and 12.8. And it's crazy how just that 2 millimeters is going to make a difference. So it's mostly going to be covered up, so we won't see it, but there we go. At least now, if I've folded it on the right score lines, my sides are all the same, which is what we want. Okay, that was quite important. Now what I'm going to do is find the middle here, okay, which is a bit of a strange measurement. sorry, it's now, I always get a little bit thrown when I make a mess. So 3.25 centimeters, which is something that I don't often use, but it's because of that 5.5 or 6 point, whatever that measurement is. Let's just go with it. And if you're working in inches, that's going to be 1.25, so that's easy. So let's just go for that 3.25, so somewhat there-ish. Okay, and then I'm doing this through all 3 layers. Okay, we're cutting from the score line down to that mark. And for me, it's just easier to do it all in. You can do them all individually, of course, but if you mess it up, then it's just easier for me to do it like this, that they're all the same. And this one I'm going to keep going so that we actually get a notch over there. Okay, now, made that far more complicated than it needed to be, but all right, we're getting there. All right, so now what we're going to do is glue that tab together. So that's making our little triangle box. And then we're going to fold the bottom flaps down and glue them so that our box is complete. All right, so you can see that that's why we were doing the cutting, so that we got this nice little triangle base of the box. And let's just give that a nice press so that that's going to glue. Okay, so there's our box base. Put that aside for the moment. And now we're going to take our other bit and again fold and burnish. And then on this side tab, so the smaller tab here, not this very little one, because that's the one that we're gluing together, but this one here, we're going to, I really don't want to make a mistake again. Okay, so in that one, oh, can you tell how hard I'm thinking? Okay, I'm sorry, I'm just now, and I'm not going to be able to see what I'm doing. All right, so hang on, those are cutting out. Okay, give me 1 second, I just need to think this through. So that's my long side, that's my shorter side. Okay, on the shorter side. Okay. In this, right, so we're cutting. I'm so scared of doing the wrong thing. This is ridiculous. I'm not normally this insecure. Okay, right. We're notching here. And then in this one, I'm cutting a bit like that, so as if I'm going to cut a notch, but then I'm cutting out, and I'm going to do this with my trimmer because I want to get it right. So we're cutting along those lines up there. And that one was 18.6. Okay. Right. There we go. Now I feel better. No, sorry for that, but I just suddenly got myself into a panic that I was going to cut it on the wrong side, and I really didn't want to do that. All right. Now we're taking these tabs and we're going to fold them down. So fold down to that score line. And again, and now we're going to fold them the other way so that we're getting a flat edge like that. Somewhat flat. It's not, it doesn't have to be 100% accurate, but you want it as accurate as you can get it. Of course, this does work easier with DSP if you wanted a different color, but I wanted my box all the same color because it's inside. There's no point wasting DSP when we're not going to really see it. And this then is also going to give me a firmer box. Now, just want to double check this. That's going, I'm just making sure which way. Okay. Because I might have stuck this the wrong way the last time. And we're going to fold that down, but try not to glue that edge because we are going to tuck it in. Okay, so we're folding that, sticking that down there. And now the first thing that I'm going to do is take this little funny flappy bit, and we're going to stick it inside that first triangle. Now we're taking those two and sticking them like that. Okay, so we'll put glue on here and hold that there. And now, before I carry on, I said to you I want to add a little pull tag just to make it easier to get that box open. So I have a little piece of ribbon and I've just made a loop and tied a knot in it. So what I'm going to do here is place that there, and I'm actually going to put a bit of glue here to hold it, and then we're going to work like really carefully around this ribbon because now we're going with our next bit. We're going to okay, let's try and pull the right piece in and then maybe it'll work. I'm going, why isn't this working? What have I done? and it's because I'm trying to stick the wrong piece. Okay, so that bit is going to go there, and like I said, this gets a little bit awkward with the ribbon, but hey, I think that it's going to be worth it. So I'm going to put some glue here and pull that bit around. Let's just make sure that my ribbon is sitting nicely where I want it. And then our last bit is going to glue in, and I don't know why today it feels like I've made this a lot more complicated than it needs to be, because it actually goes together really easily. Some days you just have that. I'm just holding this so that that glue can glue nicely and keep our ribbon in place. And then we're going to, oops, okay, so, right, so we're going to tuck that into there, and let's just give it a second to all hold nicely. All right, now try doing it the right way, Tracy. So this will fit into, should fit into that one, and okay, that could be because I scored it wrong. It's a bit tight, but there we go. Okay, so it will go in, and if you've scored according to the right measurements, it'll go in really nice and smoothly. Now we're going to take our bits of cake, and obviously it doesn't matter which side's up, choose the right side, but before I do that, there's just one more thing that I want to do, and I probably should have done it before we close the box, but then you have to decide which edge you want for the bit that's showing, and I'm just going to stamp some of the cakey bits onto it so that that edge is also decorated if we're looking at it from the side. Okay, and now we're going to glue our slice of cake. Just trying to, suddenly nothing's going right today. Okay, so what I'm doing is I'm lining up that bottom edge with the bottom edge of the cake, and we're pushing it over so that I want that cake at a bit of an angle, okay? But we also want it far enough across that it's covered, okay? That'll do. And then we're going to stick this onto the other side. And now I'm still lining up the bottom edges, but I also want to line up those corners, and it looks like I didn't do too bad a job with actually eyeballing that and getting those in line. And then you can leave it like that, or what you can do is just glue the corner bits together so that it's holding there. And we don't want our cake separating too much, so just glue those corner bits as well. All right, now I know that it seemed like I made that very complicated, but if you follow the instructions without having to think about which way you're scoring, it actually does come together really easily. and you have this cute little box, and like I said, it is actually a reasonable size. You could fit quite a few Smarties or jelly beans in there, or even, I don't know, maybe 3 lint balls, and either just give it as a little gift or with a matching card. Okay, so I hope that you've liked this project and it hasn't been too complicated and too difficult to understand. Have a great week, and I will see you again next week. Bye for now.